Uh, okay. Do you need to pin me or anything? I don't see myself, but maybe I'm there.
Uh,
Let me
Pin.
check. Okay, I
We
see
we
myself
can see
now.
you.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Okay. Good morning, everyone. And this is our monthly Holistic Health Alliances community talk. And today we have Dr. Swati Nawathe. Is that how I spell it?
Yeah, Anjana, I'm not a doctor. I'm a dietitian. Just
Sorry.
like that. I don't want to take any
Swati
extra
Nawathe.
titles. Yeah.
Yeah, we are excited to learn about the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine for health and prevention and reversal of chronic diseases. A warm welcome to Swati Nawate today. And yeah, please go ahead, Swati. You can take
Okay.
it.
So good afternoon, everyone. As you can see already, I'm not going to introduce my qualifications. You can already see that on the screen. On the top of the screen, it says Dynamic Health Studio because I own a studio in Pune, India. I'm a co-owner. So I usually do all the presentations through that name. The only latest addition to my qualifications is that I've been meditating for almost 27 years and now I have become a meditation trainer. And if anybody's interested in future, we can also have a meditation session. Uh, just before we go into the screen sharing, just want you to do a small reflection. You don't need to answer me anything. Just think about yourself. Do you think you are healthy? And why do you think you are healthy? Is it because you are free of diseases? Or is it because you are able to do all the activities? Or you may have reasons why you think you're healthy. And if you think you are not healthy, you also may have reasons why you think you're not healthy. So we'll go over the definition of what health means, and then we'll go over the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. All right. Let me see if I can do the slide show. Okay. So let me just first do a little disclaimer. This diet is recommended for general population who do not have any major health concerns. Although this diet is recommended to be followed because it has resolved problems for many of the people. So for the most people, you will not have any issues. But if you have any specific problems related to digestion, heart disease, or anything else, please seek advice from your physician. Do not hold me responsible. Okay. So what is lifestyle medicine? Let me see why the screen sharing keeps showing up on top. Okay. So lifestyle, one of my friends, the first time when I presented, she asked me, Swati, are you recommending or are you prescribing some kind of a medicine? Because it says lifestyle medicine. So to clarify that, there are no medicines involved unless you are on medications already. So the lifestyle is your medication. There are many, many studies. This is all evidence based that it indicates that if you modify your lifestyle, especially diet is one of the most important lifestyle change that people have seen reversal of diabetes going in remission. People lose significant weight. They have issues, other issues are resolved, which we will go over later. So, but for that, if you really want to get off the medication and actually reverse the disease, probably you want to go to a therapeutic intensive lifestyle change. It is not just moderation, but there are doctors. If you go look on Google, you will see that there are actually lifestyle medicine doctors who have clinics around and they will put you on a therapeutic intensive lifestyle change. And they have a team of nurses, dietitian, doctors, and they have group support and so on. And they actually will show changes and improvement in your health or often resolving your health issues. So many of these diseases that I mentioned and some of the lifestyle diseases like depression, dementia, obesity, they all can be prevented. Okay, so what is the definition of World Health Organization? A state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So as you can see that this definition emphasizes that health is more than just absence of illness. It encompasses a holistic view of well-being, including physical health. So it is not just absence of disease, injury, but physical disabilities and so on. Mental health includes emotional stability to be able to cope with stress, having a positive outlook on life. And social health includes strong social connections, feeling supported by others, and being able to contribute to the society. So if you are able to handle all these three things, you are considered healthy. So the first pillar of lifestyle medicine, the most important pillar is a whole foods plant-based diet. We'll go over all the six pillars, but this is the one of the most important pillars. What is a whole food plant-based diet? If you know, if you see in the parenthesis, it says a short form of whole food plant-based diet. So often I will be using that short form. Wholesome natural foods that come from nature in their original form from plants, not packaged and not ultra processed foods. So there is a difference between packaged foods. For example, you go to an Indian store or you go to a regular store and you buy pita bread, right? It's a packaged food. But as long as there are no processed, ultra processed foods in there or chemicals, it is considered as packaged food. But then ultra processed is something more than just packaged food. So the whole food plant diet includes wholesome fruits, vegetables, sprouts, nuts, natural fats that come from whole foods, nuts and seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, etc. In other words, if the food does not come in its original form and has additives or uses a lot of frying in oil or shortening, it is not good for our bodies. And that will include, like, if you buy cake mixes and make your own cake, that has a lot of, if you just look at any box and the ingredients, and you will know whether it's an ultra processed food. Packaged foods with additives or chemicals that increase the shelf life of food is what decreases our shelf life of our bodies, and they are the reasons of chronic diseases. So if you see things that has an expiry date of 1 year, how is the food staying good for 1 year on the shelf? Like you might buy peanut butter and cracker, those little sandwich cookies, and they last forever. Even after the expiry date, probably you can still eat them. That is because they have chemicals in them. So what is excluded from whole food plant-based diet? Animal foods, including milk, yes, milk, yogurt, ghee, meats, fish. This is all evidence-based research, and they have shown to cause inflammation. So any type of animal foods causes inflammation. And what does inflammation do? Inflammation is the reason why diseases take roots. Uh, so inflammation, you can keep fighting the inflammation for some time, but eventually it will take hold of you, and then that is when the diseases start cropping up. You can have these things. It's not like you cannot have it, but it is not part of the whole food plant-based diet. I belong to a whole food plant-based diet group. I belong to another Dr. Esselstein's group, and all of those, there are like thousands of people who are following this diet, no oil, no sugar, and they seem to have a lot of testimony about how they are feeling better or they have healed. It's a known fact that most cows are fed hormones and antibiotics that impact our health. So then you might question, okay, what about organic cow's milk? So even if organic cow's milk, research and studies conducted by Dr. T. Campbell, he is a very popular PhD doctor who went to Philippines, who went to China to study on different people, and his kids, his boys are also doctors, and I think he just turned 90 and very healthy. So his research found that the casein protein in the milk acts like a carcinogen. It is worse than any pesticide, herbicides, food additives, or chemicals. It has properties to promote your passive gene to manifest into cancer. So you have the ability to keep your a cancer gene passive or manifest it into an active gene. So milk increases the production of growth hormone, increases acid load, which impacts many critical enzymatic activities. If you have not read Dr. Campbell's book called The China Study, it's a big fat book, but it is an eye opener, and you would It is not made up stories. Those are all research work he has done, and he did the work for several years. It is not an research of 1 year or 2 years. And he all those are proven studies. Okay, so what are the ultra processed foods? You see all these frozen foods here. There are some organic foods like Amy's frozen meals. They might be better, but if you see a lot of chemicals in the foods like calcium diphosphate, sodium propionate, sodium benzoate, calcium polyphosphate, and so on. So what happens is that when you eat foods with additives, they are chemicals, and chemicals are absorbed in your body 100%. Chemicals create toxins in your body, they create inflammation, and that is why you start getting issues. So inflammation is a big thing. So if often when you look up nutrition information on Google or different places, you might see that they promote anti-inflammatory foods, they provide antioxidants, and those are all very important. So the natural foods are the best. Difference between whole food plant-based diet and vegan diet. So on the left, as you can see, these are considered as whole foods. It does not really mean that you have to pick up literally like soaked chana and eat like that, or just pull out the peas and eat like that. You can cook them, but this is just an example. You can grind them, you can make whatever out of them, but these are whole foods. Whereas on the right side, the vegan diet includes a veggie burger, which probably is made out of some kind of soy protein isolate. It has vegan cheese on it, which I'm sure is produced with multiple processes. The bun is has most likely most of it is refined flour, all-purpose flour. The French fries again are processed and fried. So even though this is a vegan diet, you can see that there is a difference between whole foods and vegan diet. Another example, for example, idlis. For those who are not Indian and don't know what they are pretty much like steamed dumplings or just steamed cakes. They are made out of rice and split legumes, and they are ground, soaked, fermented, and then they are steamed in a mold. So those can be considered as a whole food plant-based diet, whereas the pakoras that are made from chickpea flour and heavily deep fried, those are vegan but not whole food plant-based. Just to give you an example. So why do we want to follow a plant-based diet? What are the benefits? So as we already talked about it, that they have a ability of reversing chronic diseases, even Alzheimer's in their early stages, arthritis. I personally know friends and people who say that their arthritis is gone. They have not much asthma, lupus. There is one doctor, I think her name is Dr. Brooks. You can look her up on YouTube. She had lupus when she was 16 years old, and by whole food plant-based diet and lots of green smoothies, her lupus is completely healed. So people with family history, if you think that if your grandfather, your mother had diabetes or heart disease, or you have obesity running in the family, and you think, well, then I'm going to get it, it is simply not true. You can actually reverse those conditions because 80% of the diseases are not genetic. Whole food plant-based diet also promotes weight loss. It improves flexibility, lightness. These days, many athletics, including cricket player, even wrestlers, they follow plant-based diets. There are many film actors from Western world as well as Indian world. They also promote plant-based diet for other different reasons, but they also have found benefits. Your laboratory parameters such as cholesterol, glycated hemoglobin will show improvement and can get into non-diabetic range. And this is all because you make a permanent lifestyle change. So it is not something people when they say I'm going on a diet. So you're not going on a diet because when you go on a diet, it means you're doing this temporarily till you get the results and then you go back to whatever you were doing before. So this becomes a permanent lifestyle change. Of course, do not stop any kind of medications without permission of the doctor. But when you go to a lifestyle medicine clinic, they will actually monitor your labs, your parameters, and they will make sure that little by little, because it is not just if you have, say, for example, diabetes, and they are trying to lower your diabetes medication. It is not just about diabetes. If you were on a high blood pressure medication, then your blood pressure is going to come down. So they have to maintain the entire list of medications that you're on, and many of the medications you will actually reverse or not take it anymore or lower the medications. So why do we not use oils? What about olive oil? What about how much oil can I use? So what happens when you fry something, right? Usually we throw away the oil because the oil becomes rancid and oxidized. If you're not throwing away the oil and you continue to save it in your wok and keep frying, oh boy, then it's really bad for you. But it becomes rancid. It produces free radicals, which are not good for your heart. So when you are doing the tempering or sautéing or stir frying the dishes, and if you see the oil is smoking, then it is doing exactly the same thing, oxidizing and creating free radicals, and they are really not good for your heart. So if at all you are using the oil, they are recommending that you use them in the purest form. That is, you can make things, but instead of adding oil, you can actually add ground nuts or seeds, flax seeds, whatever, So it's not like it's a fat-free diet, but you are lowering the content of oil in your diet. You can use oil, but if you're using it, then I would recommend maybe like a teaspoon per person for one dish. So if you are cooking for, say, 6 people, then you can put 6 teaspoons or 2 tablespoons of oil. And I tried that all the time sometimes, and it really works. And then you need to keep it on low heat so that the oil doesn't smoke. So natural foods that include in whole foods diet, as you already we talked about it. Also dried fruits that are not sugar laden, and then nuts and seeds. Some of the important seeds are hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds. Uh, in some countries where they cannot afford all these fancy seeds like chia seeds and hemp seeds, flaxseed happens to be one of the cheapest flaxseed and very, very rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are very good for your heart, and they are highly recommended that you include flaxseed daily in your diet. So if you are somebody who's doing smoothies, you can throw in a tablespoon of flaxseed or chia seeds in your smoothies. Or other places also, like if you're making cake at home or any kind of other products, you can just grind the flaxseed and just throw it in there, and you will still get the benefits. So what are some of the sources of omega-3 fatty acids? And there are two kinds of omega-3 fatty acids. One is plant-based called ALA, alpha linolenic acid, and one is an animal-based product, which is also called EPA and DHA, eicosapentaenoic acid and decohexaenoic acid. We don't need to remember all these names. All we need to know is that there are two kinds of omega-3 and omega-6. Both are needed in your diet, but the ideal proportion of the omega-3 to omega-6 should be 1 to 1. In today's American diet, often our proportion ratio is 20 to 1 or even 50 to 1. So that is when things start going wrong, because omega-6 are pro-inflammatory. They cause inflammation, but they are needed. And omega-3 are anti-inflammatory. So why do we need omega-6 if they're pro-inflammatory? You might question. So omega-6 will increase your blood pressure, whereas omega-3 will lower your blood pressure. So you don't want your blood pressure to just keep getting lowered. Omega-3 promotes anti-clotting. Omega-6 promotes clotting, but then you also don't want to keep bleeding. So that is why you need a balance of omega-3 to omega-6. So the high ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 to 3 is linked with diseases like arthritis because it causes inflammation, Crohn's disease, diabetes, depression, heart disease, stroke, and cancer. Some more information about omega-3. There are studies that show that you really do not need to have any kind of animal protein, animal omega-3 sources to get your omega-3. You will get your omega-3 from the plant-based sources also, because ALA is the precursor of DHA. There are also many studies conducted on fish oil supplements and fish, and fish oil supplements do not show any promising results. Fish, real pure fish, some fish might, like out of say 25 studies, one study might show that there was some little bit of less inflammation and they helped. But all studies are not showing consistent results. And plus, if you are having the animal foods, it just adds to the inflammation. Studies also suggest that the preformed DHA retards the metabolism of EPA. Those are the animal omega-3s. So the take-home message is you really don't need a DHA supplement. And if you do get one, there is, I think, algae-based, plant-based supplement available for DHA if you're interested. Different sources of omega-3. Walnuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, even greens have omega-3. And if you notice that the uncooked Brussels sprouts, half cup has 44 milligrams of ALA, but cooked Brussels sprouts have 135, same amount. So somehow cooking maybe increases the amount, as well as it probably reduces in size, and maybe a cup of Brussels sprouts gets fits into the half cup of cooked Brussels sprouts, not sure. Sources of omega-3, as you can see here, that once again the walnuts are there, but because walnuts are also rich in omega-3, same with almonds, they are still okay to have. But then the mayonnaise, corn oil, soybean oil are all rich sources of omega-6. We want to avoid them. So why are plant-based foods healthier? They have phytonutrients, they have phytoestrogens, they have polyphenols, they have plant sterols. These are all naturally occurring compounds found only in plants. Animals have none of these compounds, or if they have, if at all, they have some in very little proportion. They fall under the general category of bioactive compounds, which are plant-based nutrients. So in short, we'll quickly go over all the four of these compounds that are okay. Phytonutrients. They are they contain fiber. The plant contains fiber and promote healthy gut microbiome. They contain phytonutrients. The compounds are anti-inflammatory, antioxidative, anti-angiogenic, which means that they are good for heart. Angio word is related to heart, and promotes anti-proliferation. So sometimes in your heart, the arteries can proliferate and spread out, and that is not good for your heart. So they actually promote or prevents proliferation. They allow to obtain optimal vitamins and minerals. Plants help you normalize your blood glucose and reduce your insulin levels. They reduce the circulating estrogens as they pass through the GI tract. Plants and fibers are lower in calorie density and support healthy BMI. By the way, in the beginning, I did not tell you, but if you have any questions, please write them down. We will have a short Q&A if you are interested in asking any questions. Just write them down. I'm just going with the flow right now to finish this. So what are these phytonutrients? Where are they found? So as you can see here, all the carotenoids are phytonutrients. They are present in yellow, orange, red vegetables and fruits. So I would say like yellow peppers, orange peppers, cantaloupe, watermelon, carrots, and things like that. Oranges, all of those things are yellow and orange, and they are rich sources of phytonutrients. Then comes the phytoestrogen. There is a big area of mass confusion in this area because of the word estrogens. Estrogens are not good for you. There are studies that show that estrogens actually the hormone replacement therapy, which is given used to be given to the menopausal women before. They showed that it increases the risk of breast cancer, coronary artery disease, and they cause overall harm. But phytoestrogens are not estrogens. They have similar looking structures. So we thought that the phytoestrogens are same as estrogens, but they are not. Phytoestrogens are richest in the soybean and seeds. So many people, I have also heard men saying sometimes that, oh, soybeans have estrogens and it's a female hormone, so we don't eat that. That is simply not true. And now we also know that consumption of phytoestrogen is indeed beneficial, and it reduces the incidence of breast cancer by 30 to 60%. That's a huge whopping number by eating phytoestrogens. And people who have had breast cancer in the past, but if they continue to have soybeans, their recurrence has reduced by 30%, which is also a big number. Now, when you say soybeans, it is not the soy protein isolate in the veggie burger, but we are talking about actual soybeans. We are talking about tofu that is fine, tempeh, and so on. Sometimes you also get soy nuts. You can buy the edamame beans in the freezer section. So all of those are soybeans, and they are very good for you. So phytoestrogens have protective effect, whereas the human estrogen turns the breast cancer cells on. Okay. What are for polyphenols? They are also compounds present abundantly in plant-based diets. They protect us from oxidative stress. They maintain the health of our blood vessels. They inhibit clot formation. A study found that the highest intake of anthocyanin, it is a type of polyphenol, had 32% reduced risk of heart disease. Polyphenols lower the risk of inflammation, and inflammation plays a central role in formation of atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is plaque formation in your arteries of your heart. So again, what are polyphenols? We always want to know not just what the benefits are, but what are these foods that we are going to eat. So that's why I put the writing in purple, because all the purple and red foods are rich in polyphenols like red grapes, black grapes, berries, beets, kidney beans, red cabbage, eggplants, black olives, flax seeds, nuts, and so on. Okay. And then plant sterols. They are also, sometimes people get confused because of the word cholesterol, but plant sterols are actually compounds that block the cholesterol from being absorbed. So the less the saturated fat you have, and if you replace them with unsaturated fat and also eat high fiber foods, they will block the cholesterol from being absorbed. So for women, at least 21 to 25 grams of fiber is recommended. The more is better. And for men, 30 to 30 grams of fiber is recommended. So for example, to give you example, about a nice big medium to large size apple has about 4 grams of fiber. If you were to have half a cup of kidney beans cooked, they can have about 9 to 10 grams of fiber. So you can see how easy it is to get that fiber, but you just need to make a conscious effort. Now, there are some results and personal experiences of people who have followed this diet, and I've gotten them straight from people's mouth, or people who have told me improved A1C, stopped diabetic medications, which means that the diabetes went in remission, rapid weight loss, improved eating lifestyle behaviors, learned to eat smaller portions, they are sleeping better, they have improved energy levels, they return to being active, and they are exercising now. And all of this is happening from you need to follow a Kickstart program. Okay. They started reading more of the food labels, because reading food labels is very important to know whether you are eating ultra processed foods. No cravings for sweets, overall better control of diabetes, even though it did not go into remission. So, how do you kickstart this whole food plant based diet? Strictly follow the diet for a month, and if you follow this diet for a month, you will immediately start seeing the results. But some people, it may be a big change, suddenly changing over the diet. So it is also okay to do small transitions. If you were never somebody who was eating beans, and if I ask you to start having 2 cups of beans daily, oh boy, you are not going to be a happy person farting all day. So, so I would do a slow transition for people who have never eaten certain things or very high fiber foods, but you will see positive results. So, how do I kickstart this whole food diet program? Start with a grocery list, plan a menu for the week or at least 3, 4 days at a time. Always keep all the whole foods handy in the house. That is, when you're hungry, don't go for chips. Don't even keep them in the house. Clean out your shelves. Go for carrot sticks, celery stick. If you don't feel like having just by itself, maybe you can take a tablespoon of peanut butter and have the carrot sticks or celery stick with peanut butter. You can have apples. So keep those things ready to be pulled out of the fridge to eat when you're hungry. And what is going to happen is you're going to free yourself with constant calorie counting. Many people still are on Fitness Pal. They watch their calories, they watch how much they eat, but if you eat lots of fruits and vegetables, they happen to be low in calories, so their calorie density is low. They are high in fiber, and they're good fillers. So you really would not have to count calories. You just have to eat the right kinds of foods, and you will see beneficial effects. But if you are somebody who likes to eat nuts all the time, I would watch the amount of nuts you have. I would recommend no more than quarter cup of nuts a day, unless you are a very, very thin person. But because they can quickly add the calorie and fat in your diet. So how do you plan for this? Uh, Unless you have intolerance to raw foods, I strongly recommend that you eat a lot of 50, fill yourself with 50% raw foods. That means you can make a big bowl of salad. You can add some sprouts in there. You can add some grapes in there. You can eat a handful of nuts, things like that. So they are good fillers. And then remaining 50% you eat the cooked food. I also strongly recommend, probably Pratibha knows that she is an Ayurvedic doctor. It is very important to eat between sunrise and sunset as much as possible. I know it is not easy for everyone who work to eat before sunset, and now with our East Coast here, it starts getting dark at 4:30. But at least try to eat before 7 p.m. Your digestive fire is at peak during these hours, and those are the times when you will have least amount of gastric issues. If you're somebody who's eating at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and then you go to bed an hour later, and then you have, oh boy, acidity and whatnot, you feel very full, you feel lethargic. When you get up in the morning, you still feel very heavy because you have not digested that food in the night. Avoid eating heavy meals before bed. You will have hard time digesting those foods. So how do I get enough protein? Often people will question that. Well, isn't protein very important? So protein has been given way too much importance than your body really needs. Do you know that when babies feed on breast milk, most of the breast milk has fat and less than 5% of the breast milk has protein, and babies will double in size in 3 to 4 months. So it is not because they are eating protein, but it is because they are, you really don't need that much protein. More, you really don't need more than 8 to 10% of the total calories coming from protein, and that is easily achieved from the plant-based diet. So obviously, more is not always better. When kids grow fast, often parents feed kids lots of meats, uh, whole 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 milk, whole fat milk, and regular milk. They have growth hormones and whatnot, and then we see that when during my days and before my days, like my mom, my grandparents, they used to have start their periods around age 15 or 16. Nowadays, you start seeing that puberty starting way early. It is because of some of the animal foods and the hormones and all the things that are coming from the animal-based foods. Uh, okay. So there are some studies on high protein diet. Again, this was conducted by Dr. T. Campbell in Philippines. These kids were very undernourished, so they decided to feed them high protein diet, and they were giving them 20 to 30% of the calories coming from protein. And these kids started developing liver cancer. They didn't get cancer, but they had the foci, cluster of foci. Those are the pre-tumorous cells, and they were seeing that those were developing around their liver. And when the protein was cut down back to 5 to 10%, the cluster of foci were reducing in size again. And also, sometimes people think that eating a lot of protein is beneficial for them, but your body really will take what the amount of protein they need, and often then protein will be used towards their energy. And it is putting too much load on your kidneys. Your kidneys don't need so much protein. So this proved that even cancer genes can stay switched off by a lower protein diet. There was another studies conducted on rat in India, and they also showed that they were getting liver cancer cells by feeding them too much protein. Okay, some of the examples of what kind of foods will have what saturated fats and cholesterol. So here is a combination of meat blend which has 400 calories. You are getting about 146 milligrams of cholesterol and about 8 grams of saturated fat, which is 18% of the total calories. If you have milk and cheese blend, same amount of calories, you are getting even more saturated fat, 14.9 grams saturated fat. If you're having same vegetable and bean blends, like all kinds of beans, vegetables, and so on, like potatoes, broccoli, spinach, beans, same containing 400 calories, you are hardly getting any saturated fat, and there is no cholesterol. They also experimented on the fruit blend. They also have no cholesterol, and hardly any saturated fat. And of course, they are very rich in fiber, and they are rich in phytonutrients and polyphenols and plant sterols, phytoestrogens, all the things that we just learned. Okay. And these amounts are taken from the USDA nutrient database. So, six pillars of lifestyle medicine. According to the World Health Organization, 80% of the heart diseases, strokes, and type 2 diabetes, 40% of all the cancers could be prevented primarily with improvement in diet and lifestyle. So even World Health Organization is saying that. So what are these six pillars of lifestyle medicine? First pillar we already discussed, healthful eating of whole food plant-based diet. Give me a sec. I'm feeling very cold here. I think I need to increase the heat. I'm in a different place today. No, sorry about that. All right. So first pillar was a whole food plant-based diet, very important pillar. Second pillar is exercise. It is recommended that you do at least 150 minutes of exercise a day, which is uh, 2.5 hours, about 30 minutes daily for 5 days at least. Or it can be also, unless you're doing moderate intensity, 150 minutes. If you're doing vigorous exercise, that can convert into 75 minutes. But of course, this is a minimum recommended. You can go up to 250 minutes to 300 minutes also. The third pillar is stress. There are many studies that show that stress causes diseases. We often call it a psychosomatic diseases, meaning that because of the psychological stress, you start getting diseases, and those are called psychosomatic diseases. The fourth pillar is forming and maintaining relationships. Families, friends, they are very therapeutic. You let go of any anger issues, let go of the past issues, be helpful, giving, and form good relationships, and that is very therapeutic, and that also helps, which means that you do not want to be in isolation. Today, a lot of seniors who live alone, that is one of the things that is lacking in them. They feel very isolated. Sleep, improving sleep. People who do not get enough sleep have shown to cause inflammation in their body, and also it triggers a hunger hormone, and you want to eat more. So getting minimum 7 hours of sleep, no more than 8 hours. Too much sleep is also not good. So getting that sleep is very important. So that's the fifth one, and the sixth one is avoiding risky substances, drugs, alcohol, smoking, and so on. So these are some of the things that is very important. Um, I'm just going to skip some of these things about studies and about smoking, normal weight, how things are important, the same things a little bit in different studies only because of the time. But all it means is that genetics, while they are important, they are not necessarily our destiny. A very important statement. Just because you have family history doesn't mean that that is going to become your destiny. Okay. The top lifestyle change is the whole food plant-based diet. Again, we just discussed about stress, and what happens is when stress releases cortisol hormone. There are some studies that indicate that high cortisol hormone in your body also can increase your cholesterol level. They also divert your blood flow from the stomach to the brain, causing many issues, because then now you don't have now you have digestion issues, and then you get irritable bowel syndrome, constipation, diarrhea, and so on. And this is all related to stress and trauma, and they do cause inflammation. They weaken your immune system, and they allow cancer to take root. So some of the nutrient deficiencies, like people are concerned about iron, about calcium. How do if I don't get milk, how do I get my calcium? What about B12? So let's go over B12. It's a water soluble vitamin. It is present only in animal foods. So then you'll say, okay, then why is it that we cannot have animal foods? Why do I have to take supplement? Think of cow. A cow just grazes on the pasture, at least that it used to be olden days, and then people eat beef so that they get vitamin B12. So how come cow has B12, but they are eating only vegetarian foods? So what happens is that when they are grazing, they are also picking up some of the healthy bacteria from the soil that make B12, and that is how they are getting B12. And nowadays we have become very clean. We thoroughly wash our vegetables. We don't eat any dirt, so on. So we don't get any B12. So that is why either you eat fortified foods which have B12, or you can also take a supplement. Just so you know that B12 deficiency doesn't come on overnight. It is stored in your liver and it can be stored from 3 to 5 years. So if you are following a plant-based diet, you will not see immediate deficiency. But because it is not present in animal food, plant-based foods, it is recommended to take a B12 supplement. You can get plant-based B12 supplement. It is water soluble, so you can even take 1,000 micrograms of B12, not 2.4. It is your body is going to take what it needs. Rest is going to be gone out of your system. As you get older, you absorb less of B12, so more is not a bad idea. Calcium. We often feel concerned with calcium. I know many people who were drinking 4 cups of milk a day as they were getting into menopause because they thought it is going to take care of their osteoporosis, but no, it was not happening. Many of the vegetables, like leafy vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, all of them have calcium, including brown sesame seeds, ragi, that is one of the millets. So calcium is needed for strong bones, but calcium can the bones can remain strong if you do exercise, if you do weights, strengthening exercises, including yoga. A lot of yoga poses have strengthening as you go into downward dog and things like that. You're actually putting pressure on your wrists. So all of those are good for you. And high calcium diet without exercise does not mean your calcium is getting absorbed. You also need a vitamin D for the calcium absorption, which comes from the sun. We hardly get sun in this country. So often these days everybody has D vitamin deficiency also, and the doctor will ask you to take vitamin D, and that should also take care of your calcium. Iron. There is some concern for iron. We think that vegetarian people don't get enough iron. I personally, my protein numbers went up, my calcium numbers went up, and my hemoglobin level went up after I went on a whole food plant-based diet and clean foods. So, what is the concern here? Animal foods have heme iron, they are easily absorbed, though heme iron also has some health concerns. Plant foods have non-heme iron. They don't get easily absorbed, but you can support the absorption by eating vitamin C rich foods at the same time. Also, avoid having, if at all you're having milk and yogurt, many people tend to have raita, the yogurt based salad, chopped salad with their iron rich foods. And what happens is that the calcium in the yogurt or milk will bind with the iron chemicals and actually will make the iron unavailable. So with the high iron foods, don't have milk products. So stocking your kitchen with all these foods, all kinds of vegetables. I prefer to use seasonal vegetables. Like if you this is winter time, it may be better idea to eat like winter vegetables like butternut squash or sweet potatoes and so on. You don't need to go eating watermelon and other things. Fruits, same thing with the fruits. To eat fruits in the season. Dals and whole pulses, sprouts are preferred, whole beans are preferred because when you eat the split beans, the cover on the split bean, which is also fiber, is removed. So the more whole beans you have, the better it is for you. It has more nutrients, more fiber. You can experiment cooking your dals or beans in Instapot or pressure cooker already with added spices in it. And if you wish, you can use oil, but I recommend strongly that you use less oil, or I would recommend that keep your limitation of oil. Maybe if in your house there are 2 people living, so you should not use more than 1 liter of oil for the entire month, which means that half a liter for you is 2 cups, which is 32 tablespoons. So about 1 tablespoon a day, which is 3 teaspoons a day. if at all you're using oil. But you can try using nuts, ground nuts, and things like that in your food and see if how they taste. You might be surprised that they really don't taste as bad as you thought they were. Okay. Why are we talking about gut microbiomes here? Because the diet is a source of fuel for these microbiomes, and we have about 38 trillion microorganisms in our body. We use sometimes different terms, alternating terms, microbes, microbiomes, microbiota. There is some difference in it, but any of the terms is okay to be used. And our gut is the biggest microbiota, living microbiota. Gut has tons of microbiome, but you would be surprised that your actually microbiota starts with your mouth. If you are somebody who eats wrong foods and do not brush, then those microbiomes start living in your mouth, and then they're going in your alimentary canal and can also cause digestion issues. So we are about 50% human cells and 50% microbial cells. What decides the colony of your microbiomes? The types of foods you eat create the right or the wrong colonies of microbes in your gut. When sweets, processed foods, fried foods, low fiber foods are consumed, then the unwanted colony of microbiomes start developing, and which in turn will make you crave for the same food more. So if you start eating the right food, slowly the wrong microbes will start leaving you, and your gut will actually thank you. But if you are getting all the time symptoms of foul smelling gas, lots of burping, lots of bloating, reflux, acidity, then you should know that you have a lot of wrong colony of microbiomes in your body. When you have healthy microbes, trust me, your gut will thank you. Okay. So more about just a little summary of microbiomes. Short-term diet changes typically are transient, but if you make this as a lifestyle, it will significantly alter your microbiota composition. Good microbiota reduces inflammation. It reduces, it also brings in weight loss because obesity is considered as an inflammatory disease in nature. There are some bad bacteria called firmicutes, and they negatively influence your glucose and fat metabolism. The must-have foods is all kinds of fruits, vegetables, legumes. High fiber foods are also very good, and there is a good type of butyrates which increase in number and prevent the growth of cancer cells. Okay, so just we talked about the inflammation, how it goes bad food through your mouth, get into your gut, and then it causes all kinds of metabolic diseases. So we often think arthritis is inflammatory, right? But just so you know, obesity means inflammation, heart disease means inflammation, kidney disease means inflammation. So we think that, oh, my bone joints are all stiff and I have inflammation because of arthritis. But no, there are many, many diseases that are caused because of inflammation. Spices, awesome for you. Use lots of spices. Try not to use garlic salt, onion salt, but use powders or just use fresh spices. Sweets. Okay, a lot of people crave for sweets, but then there are studies that show that even sugar substitutes will cause insulin uh, reaction, or it really means that you still are craving for sweets and you are adding sugar substitutes to satisfy your sweet tooth. So it is really not helping you. And what happens is the glucose cannot enter the cells and it just hangs out in the blood, and there's nowhere to go rising the blood sugar. So even though you think sugar is the only culprit, actually for diabetes, the fat is the culprit that causes insulin resistance, and it is associated with diabetes and as well as obesity. So then what should I eat? Lots of fruits, lots of dry fruits. But then if you go Google recipes or on YouTube, just say whole food plant-based diet desserts. Since this past month, I made 2 or 3 times banana bread. It had no eggs, it had no oil, it had no sugar. I did use some maple syrup. I used flax seeds and some nuts, and I gave it to my family, and they didn't even know that there was no oil in there, and they loved it. And they said like, "Oh, every time banana's ripe, Mom, make that banana bread." So you'll be surprised to see how good they taste. Some of my recipes that I make, vermicelli kheer, which is we also call in Hindi sevaiya kheer. I added chia seeds and I made from my homemade either oil, almond milk or cashew milk. Cashew milk is very creamy, so actually the desserts taste even better than milk. This is a moong dal paisam, which is means I cooked moong dal and then I added dates, I added figs and raisins. So the sweetness came from that. If at all you feel that you still need a little more sweet, maybe in your own personal dish, you can add maybe a teaspoon of jaggery or something in there. But these desserts taste really good, and people have asked me for recipes. These are my energy balls, or we call it ladu. They are made from nuts and seeds, dates, cardamom, and so on. Some of my own recipes which are made with either no oil or minimum oil. Uh, Lentils, or we call it masoor. The sweet potatoes shredded, I just put they directly roasted the sweet potatoes in cast iron pan, and I before that I added cumin seeds and I added chilies, and then I added ground peanuts in there, roasted ground peanuts. But there was no oil, and at least when sometimes when I don't tell my family, they don't even know that I have not added oil or ghee in there. Some of the chapatis that I sometimes make, I just basically pureed the beets and then I added flour in it and made my own chapatis. This is the bottle gourd. These are some of the crepes or dosas that we call. These are made out of mixed dals and millets, and they are pretty good if you use non-stick pan, or if you just kind of coat it with a little bit of oil, or not even that, you will notice that you really don't need oil. Some of my one bowl meals that I used to carry for lunch at work with quinoa and cauliflower, sprouts, greens, couscous. Sometimes I use pearl barley. This is, I think, chickpeas and pearl barley, green beans and red cabbage. Just simple dal rice. Some more foods. These are all. I think the rice has a little bit oil and the okra has a little bit of oil, but rest of them are without oil. My homemade almond milk, I make my own overnight oats or sometimes just cook them. This is a mixture of sweet potato. I most of the time I really wash the sweet potatoes very good and I keep the skin on. I hardly remove the skin unless I see something bad. Then I just might scrape it out, and then I added shredded carrots in there, uh, peppers, and again added peanut powder and did not add any oil. Some more of one bowl meals. This is barley again. So just saying that things can be made very tasty with minimum oil or very little oil. I make a lot of salad dressings also. This is my red lentil hummus. The recipe asked for half cup of olive oil and a sour cream, but I just used tahini and beets and red lentils and chickpeas, and it was very good. And sometimes I will just eat it with whole wheat pita bread. This is my homemade almond milk. I had taken this salad for one of the, not this year, but one of the Thanksgiving parties, and they had, everybody loved it. Just shredded beets, shredded carrots, different kinds of tomatoes. This is my homemade salad dressing. I often use tahini. Sometimes I use oats, just oats and hemp seeds, and then vinegar and whatever herbs you want to add, and just put it in the blender, and it comes out pretty good. So, in summary, the six pillars of lifestyle medicine promotes good health, well-being, including prevention and reversal of lifestyle diseases. And these lifestyle six pillars are whole food, plant-based diet, exercise, sleep, reduce stress, social relationships, and oh, sorry, did I not put the fifth one? But getting rid of the habits, alcohol, drugs, and so on. I'll add that to next thing. And this is all I really had for today. uh, Tried to make it very quick because of the time. And I will stop the screen share. So if people have any questions, I can go back and put the slide on again.
Hi, Swati.
Hi, Nisha.
Okay, quick question. For
Sure.
flax seeds, like you were saying, we can incorporate. One way I try to eat is just giving it a little bit of a roast and have a spoonful every
You
day.
can do that. I actually do after meals a little digestive. I add carom seeds, flax seeds, fennel seeds, and brown sesame seeds. I just lightly roast them and I put a little bit of salt to taste, or you don't even have to do that. And I use that as a digestive. But the only thing is that if you eat whole flax seeds, you do not get the benefits unless they're ground. So unless you're really chewing them and grinding them,
Yeah.
it is important that you eat
Yeah. Yeah.
ground flax seeds.
Yeah. I do make sure that I'm putting that in mouth
Yeah, that's
sometimes,
awesome.
because
Awesome.
then
Yeah.
I'm done with my day's quota that way. So
Yes.
that's okay, right?
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Swati, one question about flaxseed. You know the Indian chutney where it's
Yes.
ground, roasted, and then you add some other nuts and sesame
Mm-hmm.
seeds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fine or does it lose its properties?
I would very, very lightly roast it. I would not make it very brown because then there is fat in there and the fat is oxidized. So
Ah,
even like if you are making nuts and stuff, yeah,
mm-hmm,
there is some benefits to roasting. There is phytic acid in the nuts, and the phytic acid is reduced by either roasting or soaking the nuts. If you're soaking nuts,
mm-hmm.
uh, like I make my own almond milks, and when I soak the almonds overnight, I get so much white stuff in that
Yeah.
nuts that I rinse it out 2, 3 times and then I make my almond milk. So you want to remove all the toxins or phytates and things that come in the way of your absorption.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
so
So very lightly roasted if you're
lightly
roasting it.
roasted. Okay,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the chutney normally grinds it, which is supposed to be good, right? The flax seeds.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Good. Good.
Mhm. Any other questions?
Well, Swati, I think this is great information. It's a great variety of information all
Thank
around.
you, Susan. Yeah.
I would love some of your recipes. I don't know if you have some of them printed up. Your
I don't,
contact as well.
yeah. Sure, I can give my contact on the chat. Let me see here. Or you can write it down. My phone number is 978, or I can put it on the chat too here. 978 Okay. I'll give you some ideas about getting the whole food plant-based diet. I follow an app called Paprika on my phone, and there is you can save your recipes there. Also, there is if you go in the menu, there is a browser in there, and in the browser you can type up the names of the recipes, saying whole food plant-based banana bread, or you can say vegan banana bread, no oil. And actually it will go to Google. It gives you ratings and pulls up the recipes. And if you like that recipe, you can download it and you can save it in your app and then you can use it again. I can show you what it looks like. Hold on. So that is you see here the little paprika app here, this one. And if you click on it, these are all my saved recipes there. And then if I browse on here on the browser, you
If you
can,
back it up, I can screenshot it.
yeah.
I think it,
Yeah.
I think it,
So
I think-
just you can. There are many apps, but this one my daughter suggested. She saves the recipes, and I have all those recipes saved there, right from Tuscan kale soup. And some of the recipes will say put olive oil. What you can choose at the bottom, they might even say that for whole food plant-based diet, you can skip the oil and just use a little water. Or you can just skip completely. I just put regular water, just cook all my vegetables, garlic, onion, and I just make my soups without. And then I might add maybe a couple of tablespoons of peanut butter in there, just to give that a little rich taste to it, you know. So you can do
Now,
things like that.
but
Yeah.
now, people with high Vata constitution can have a little more oil, like some of the good oils, ghee,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some
So
butter.
that is that you can do that, but also you can use lots of nuts and seeds.
Nuts and seeds too.
Yeah, yeah.
One
Because
of
those
the
are high fat.
Okay, that's a good idea. One of the subjects I thought to touch on is like the bacteria on food. If people leave food out on the counter too long or without putting it in the
Yes,
refrigerator,
yes, yeah.
that's another topic that is important in healthy eating as well. That I think some people miss. They'll cook a very healthy meal,
Yeah.
and then maybe with a rice dish or anything like that, and then leave it out too long.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I know people who marinate the chicken and leave it on their countertop overnight, and I'm also like, oh my God, please don't do this.
I know, that's one
Yeah.
thing that people
Yeah,
don't always
and
realize. It
I
has
don't
a
know
2 hour.
what your background is, but like in Ayurveda, it is they recommend recommended strongly that you eat fresh foods daily. But now there are some research studies that show that keeping certain things not outside, but you cook, for example, if you cook rice or some of the starchy vegetables, you put them in the fridge, and when you pull them out, they form some resistant starch that makes it is good better for your diabetes. It absorbs sugar
Mhm.
at lower because it has formed some resistant starch. So even though fresh food is important, some things that create starch, you can put them in fridge overnight, and if you eat next day, you get more benefit from it. There's some
Okay.
new research
I
studies.
didn't
Yeah.
know that. That's good to
Mm-hmm.
know. I
Yeah.
know that there's generally a 2 hour rule to make sure the food gets in the refrigerator from
Absolutely.
1 to
Yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that's good
Sounds
information.
right. Sounds right. Yes. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about fermented foods?
Very good for you. I mean, in this country, like kimchi and other things, but if you are fermenting like the batters for idli and dosa, yeah, they are great because fermented foods do form bacteria, healthy bacteria, and they're good
Okay.
for you. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. Just make
And
sure they don't rot. Because
oh,
sometimes I see people over ferment, and when you open the container, it smells
oh
like,
yeah.
like, kind of nasty smell. So don't make
Oh,
sure don't over ferment. Yeah.
Hi, Swati.
Hi,
Hi.
Shwini.
You first of all, thank you so much for beautiful, excellent presentation.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And I have one question. You explained very well about the how much extra importance are given to proteins. I want to know how much daily protein are required for, especially for young adults.
So if they are working out, then they need more protein. But otherwise, young adults, 1 gram of protein per kilogram of ideal body weight. So if somebody is 80 kilos, but their ideal body weight is really 60 kg, then 60 grams of protein is okay. So ideal body weight multiplied by 1 gram. For people like us, if you're not working out or if you are now, adults, then recommendation is zero point 0.8 grams per kilogram of ideal body weight.
Okay. And what are the
Mm.
best sources for proteins?
You mean plant-based?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say all the whole beans. Even you would be surprised. Things like spinach and kale and broccoli are high in protein. If you compare grams to grams, like say for example an ounce of meat or something, they are also good source of protein. So everything really adds up. Whole grains are good, dals are good, all the whole beans are good. Sprouts add a little more, improve the protein in the beans, so that's good too.
Okay.
And everything, I mean, except fruit is the lowest in protein, but all vegetables and all the dals and pulses, beans, nuts have protein too. But the nuts are very high in fat and high in calories. So unless somebody needs to gain weight, otherwise I would do quarter cup of nuts a day.
Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
so I just have another question. So I
Sure.
think you covered you talked about it a little bit about how people are thinking about, when they are hitting perimenopause, menopause, about calcium deficiency and
Mm-hmm.
drinking a lot of milk and losing muscle and sarcopenia and those kind of things.
Yes.
So which are the best foods for compensating that, if not milk? I think you
Uh, well, actually, as we get older, our organs also are wearing out. So if you're giving too much protein, your kidneys cannot handle more than what your protein bodies need, then you're actually doing more harm than they. So it's because you're growing older does not necessarily mean that you need to eat a lot more protein. Your body also has a large pool of amino acids, and those amino acids are released in your body as and when needed, and they continue to keep store of amino acids. So as long as you eat just regular healthy meals, fruits, vegetables, nuts, beans, and all kinds of things in good amount, I would recommend at least 3 servings of beans daily, beans or dals, and not like a very thin down dal, but thick dal.
dal.
And yeah, and People
And
sometimes eat like
calcium,
plant-based yogurt and other types of non-dairy milk, but those are not necessarily high in protein.
but for calcium compensation,
So,
where
so
instead of milk,
calcium, there are studies indicating that just eating a lot of calcium foods does not necessarily mean they are being absorbed. As you get older, your bodies need vitamin D to absorb the calcium. Vitamin D comes from sunlight. And in this country, it's so hard to get out in the sun. And even if you are like, I know people who golf in the sun and they still have vitamin D deficiency.
yeah,
So, taking vitamin D to improve calcium absorption, I would recommend that. And really exercising and strength training exercises,
right,
put weight bearing exercises, they make a big difference in improving the calcium absorption in your body and making your bones stronger. People who exercise have very low rates of fractures and osteoporosis.
right.
Yeah. I think you are a yoga teacher, right, Anjana?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I am a big fan of all the I we do add a little bit of weights during yoga as
Yes,
well. That
yeah,
really
yes.
helps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
also all these other yoga postures like
yes,
plank and,
yeah,
Adho Mukha Svanasana, all of those are
exactly.
weight bearing. So they're all
Exactly.
good. Yeah. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
And just sorry,
So,
I
so,
was
so the point is that you don't necessarily need to eat lot of calcium. All the green vegetables will have calcium. Nuts and seeds have calcium. All the dals, beans, everything has calcium. So
okay.
you don't necessarily like my calcium actually, not that I need to make it go up, but my calcium actually went up after I started following a whole food plant-based diet.
Okay.
Yeah, she's saying vitamin D supplement should be taken with food that contains all kinds of healthy fat. Yeah, because D requires fat to, oops,
Um,
sorry. I don't know what happened here, but
so it's
uh,
recommended to take vitamin D along with should we take it with food or like a tablet of vitamin D or
I mean,
before
right
food?
after meals, right before, because you're eating the food right away, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that should be fine. Yeah. And that is why when people used to have skim milk in the past, for the cholesterol and stuff, there was concern about vitamin D absorption because skim milk has no fat. So the vitamin D doesn't get absorbed without fat.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Mm.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Any other
And
questions?
yeah, just about meditation. And I saw that you mentioned heartfulness. Is that the
Yeah,
kind?
I've been a heartfulness meditation practitioner for since 1998.
Okay.
And then I just got a calling. I have a studio, yoga studio in Pune, and we have like over 150 students there.
Okay.
And a lot of students will ask for meditation classes.
Right.
And I just feel that a lot of people come for yoga, and I see that they are very disturbed. A lot of family issues are going on, and they are looking for stress buster in addition to yoga.
Yes.
So then I just felt like I have been doing meditation for so many years. I should become a trainer, and I did become meditation trainer. I was in Hyderabad there is an ashram near Hyderabad where I studied for 6 months for some 12 modules on spirituality, and then I went for a training for 10 days, and I became trainer. So if anybody's interested, or even on this platform, sometime
Yeah,
if
absolutely. I think
I
we
mean,
can
meditation does
definitely.
not need to, in person is better, but just meditation is a way of transmitting the divine transmission. For example, if I'm mad at you and I give you mad looks, that anger gets transmitted to you, right?
Oh, yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you don't need to be in front of me face to face. So
Hmm.
same way, meditation can also be transmitted from a distance. So even here
Nice.
on this platform, if anybody is interested, we
Absolutely.
can,
I think we should
uh,
definitely organize one
yeah,
meditation
yeah,
session for
yeah.
anybody. Yeah, I would love that.
Mm,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Oh, are you going to send link on this at some point?
I think it is going to be there's
Recorded.
going
I'm
to be
sorry.
a YouTube link, right? I
Yes.
think
Recording.
because
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
It is
right.
recorded and we'll upload it on YouTube and then
YouTube,
I'll
yeah,
share it
yeah,
with
yeah. If you
Swati.
share it to me, so Anjana, I can give it to
And
them
of course,
whoever wants
we'll
it.
be
Yeah.
it will all be on the Holistic Health Alliance's Facebook page. And yeah, you can, and of course, I'll share the link with you as well.
I also want to thank all the participants. My cousin's wife, Natasha, she is attending from Dubai. Thank you,
Oh,
Natasha.
wonderful.
So, and Ashwini, I see your 3 screens, but I'm assuming that you are not 3 people.
Sorry, Swati, we used her link because registration was a problem. So
Okay,
the
no
three of
problem.
us are her.
I felt like, okay, there are 3 Ashwinis attending here.
Yes, they are
Sushma
using
and,
the link.
Sushma and Vinita are also Ashwini.
Okay, I
Okay.
see, got it. Okay, all right. So
Okay.
thank you so much. Unless
Thank
you have any
you.
more questions, otherwise, thank you so much for attending. I am grateful. And if you take any of the tips and convert into your daily use, I would be very happy.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yes,
Right.
thank you, Swati, very much.